Matt Whitaker, former U.S. Acting Attorney General.
This is such a great conversation about America, our future, what's going to save our republic.
We have a great football player. Matt Whitaker is here. Matt.
They tried to bury me. They didn't realize I was a seed.
It's a touchdown, Whitaker.
Former Acting U.S. Attorney General.
Under President Trump.
I'm going to be an unwavering supporter of law enforcement.
Welcome to Liberty and Justice with your host, Matt Whitaker.
Welcome to Liberty and Justice. I'm your host, Matt Whitaker. I'm joined by my good friend and member of Congress, Marinette Miller-Meeks. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Matt?
I'm doing really well. You are, this is episode 38. I would have never imagined when I started this that we would make it this far, but there may be season 2 next year. You never know.
Delighted to hear that, and we know people are clamoring for the truth.
Yeah.
They're clamoring for an honest conversation, and that's what you deliver.
Well, we'll try to keep with that tradition. You're in Iowa. You're a fellow Iowan. We're proud Iowans, and you're out on the campaign trail. I'm sure these last 2 weeks are going to be extremely busy. What's a day in the life of a member of Congress that's seeking re-election like?
Well, let me just say 14 days to go, so we cannot wait until this campaign season is over. We just sense a lot of momentum, a lot of energy. I mean, people are just fed up with what's going on in Washington, D.C. They're fed up with the Biden administration. And so a day in the life of the Congresswoman. So I started very early this morning answering texts and emails at 6 a.m., was on the road at 7, had our first event at 9 o'clock, and it will be all day today. We're going to try to squeeze in some door knocking with one of the state senators so we can help them to get reelected in this new district because, not only is it election time, but this is redistricting. And so many of us are undergoing our first reelection, which is typically your hardest, especially in a swing district such as Southeast Iowa. And we're undergoing our hardest reelection in a new district. So you've got double those challenges. Friday morning, we have an interview at 7:30 in the morning. Then we've got a conservative breakfast club to talk to at 8. Then we've got, I can't even remember what the rest of the, 3 more events stacked up back to back. And then we have some official tours mixed in with that. So it will be very busy up until 8 p.m. on November 8th.
Well, that's fantastic. Having campaigned a couple times myself for public office in Iowa and supporting so many good candidates, including you, one of the things that I don't think people totally understand, even though the Iowa caucuses every 4 years tries to remind them, is that Iowa is a very retail politics state. You don't just put up TV and radio ads and sit back on your couch and wait for election day. You are out every day talking to people, talking to them about the issues they care about. So what are you hearing as you talk to our fellow Iowans?
Well, there isn't a place I go where they don't talk about the high prices of gasoline, diesel, food, now electricity, prices for rent going up, people having problems getting supplies. If they're employers, it's getting labor, even though they've raised wages, and then it's getting, inputs. So costs have gone up tremendously. You also hear a lot about what's happening at the border. I mean, people know that in the less than 2 years of this presidency, almost 5 million people have come across our border illegally. Our Customs and Border Protection agents are just overwhelmed. They're demoralized. And it's not just the people, it's the fentanyl that's coming across. It's the people on the terror watch list that are coming across. Even last night, we had a rally with Governor Reynolds and Ambassador Nikki Haley, and we were in Davenport and then took the bus to Cedar Rapids. And at Cedar Rapids, I met someone from my district, from the new district, whose brother-in-law is an agent at the border, and he said, do whatever you can to help. Please help them. They're miserable. They're unhappy. They're not doing their job. They know, we know what's coming across, but we also have the known unknowns and the unknown unknowns. So, we know what we're not capturing, but there's also a lot of stuff that we don't even know that we're not capturing, whether that's drugs or people on the terror watch list. So the border, crime, inflation, prices going through the roof, and then education. I'm going to tell you, parents are so mad. And every Democrat in Congress voted to keep schools closed. They were supportive of vaccine mandates and mask mandates. People didn't even know until I brought it to their attention in April that we were still masking 3- and 4-year-olds in Head Start. And I sent letters to the administration, letters to Secretary Becerra, to Secretary Cardona. And so it wasn't until just a few weeks ago that we stopped the masking of 3- and 4-year-olds, our most vulnerable children, the ones who need the help the most. And, the learning loss that they've experienced, the speech, problems that they may incur from being masked for over 2 years is just unconscionable to me. So parents are fed up. People are unhappy. The majority of people in the United States and in Iowa think the country is on the wrong track. And they're correct. It's on the wrong track. But the cavalry's coming. We're here. We expect the Republicans to win and to win big. But, it doesn't happen. We don't get a red wave without people.
Yeah. I agree, and I'm encouraging everyone to vote however they possibly can. In Iowa, we have some early voting. I know that the legislature's kind of trimmed that up a little bit to make sure that it's makes sense. We don't have like a voting season followed by a counting season, and maybe we have more of an election day followed by, which in Iowa
that was our 5th season in Iowa, voting season.
Yeah. But I think as I was preparing for this discussion, there's 3 things that stand out in my mind. And one, I really don't want you to comment about. The second one, we'll briefly touch on. And then the third one, I really want to get to the bottom line. And I think 1 and 3 are related. I think, first of all, some people go to Congress to be somebody. And you went to Congress, and in your first term, were determined to do something. And I think you have to be, and this is going to make a lot of my friends upset. I think you're one of the hardest working members of Congress, not only in getting stuff done, but also serving your constituents. So I just want to give you kudos on that. I think the second thing, and one of your claims to fame, is that if I remember right, you won your first election in 2020 by 6 votes. And, there was some threat by the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, that she was going to not seat you, et cetera, et cetera. I think most right-minded, normal people, including your fellow citizens on both sides of the aisle in Iowa, said, no way, she won the election. We trust our elections in Iowa. We know that we got the vote right. She won by 6. I'm making a bold prediction as an aside. I think you'll at least double your wild success and win by more than 12 votes. Which is double your 6. But most importantly, I think the thing that struck me is just how much you've accomplished as a member of the minority party currently in Congress. You've actually accomplished legislation, which if some of your colleagues would do as much, maybe we could solve some of these intractable problems.
Well, 2 things on that. Sometimes we pass too much regulation. So shortening the amount of time that we're in D.C. or in Des Moines may be a good thing. But you're correct. I didn't go to Congress to be a show horse. I went to Congress to be a workhorse. That's what I've done my entire life. When I left home at 16 to find a way to become a doctor from a family of 10 with my parents when no one had ever gone to college, it took hard work. And I'm used to that. It's what I know how to do best, is to work hard, put my nose to the grindstone, and just keep at something. I'm very tenacious, very persistent. And please don't tell me no, because that just means I'm going to work harder in the opposite direction. But no, I think passing 13 bills in a minority is no small feat. And part of this is, it really comes from the people that I meet in Iowa. I come back to Iowa as often as I can. I'm out in the district. I talk to people, and they would let me know of their concerns, their issues, their problems. And sometimes you can do something by having a conversation with an agency, but sometimes it requires legislation. And then I just have a great staff. So I have a staff that knows that I want to accomplish things. They know that I'm kind of nerdy and I like policy. But I think you're right. 13 bills and a minority. I've been to had 5 of them, the privilege of having signed at the White House. I don't know if I should be, proud of that or not. But there are people who say, don't do anything. I didn't compromise any of my principles in order to pass the legislation that I did. 4 of the bills that I passed were unanimous. That's how good those bills were. And they were common sense things, things related to our veterans, things related to lowering fuel costs for individuals, education, but they're common sense things that people would approve. And, Ronald Reagan said it best, and I've heard you say this before, Matt, and that is you can get a lot done if you don't care who gets the credit.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. And I also can only imagine what you will accomplish when you have the majority in the January of 2023. But let's pivot and talk a little bit about the campaign and how it's going. Again, you're in Iowa has really 3 of the 4 congressional districts are super competitive, and so you don't get to skate by really any election season, including this one. What are you seeing? Where are your successes? And talk a little bit about, I guess, the district and, kind of the place that you love. I know that Wapello County is certainly near and dear to your heart, but, you also have places like Davenport and Knoxville and so many great little cities and burgs. And my parents' hometown of Keokuk, Iowa, which I would encourage all my relatives in Keokuk and Lee County to vote for you for sure.
Well, thank you. And I was just in Keokuk over the weekend, so I went down there for a meet and greet and then did some door knocking. And so we'll be going to Keokuk again next. It's the first week of November. I think we're going to do a rally with Governor Reynolds. So if everything stays planned, we're going to be down there in Keokuk. But I love Iowa. I am not from Iowa. I moved here 37 years ago and have loved it ever since. Love all parts of the district, love traveling the district. And you're so correct. Iowa is a retail politics state. And because I like meeting with people, and that's where I get my energy and my inspiration and my, the things that I work on, you always have grand ideas of what you want to accomplish. But then it gets down to serving people. And so sometimes your grand ideas and grand policy, which can be very difficult to accomplish in the minority, you focus on the people that you serve. And so the legislation you pass ends up being, in answer to their problems and their issues. But the biggest challenge to me was, taking care of the 24 county district that I currently am the representative for, but then getting to know the new district and the new counties. So you've still got all of your existing counties, but then you've got 4 new counties that you have to get to know on top of that. So getting to know Jackson, Jones, Iowa, and Warren counties, as well as continuing to go to the current counties. This probably, after September, was probably the last time I've gone to some of the counties that will no longer be in the district that I'll represent. Retail politics, being around people is so very important. To me, we're in a swing district, as you said. This is a purple district. It's the most Democrat district in Iowa. It has more Democrats registered than Republicans, and then non-parties outrank both Democrats and Republicans. So it's a tough district. It has the University of Iowa, which tends to be very liberal. It also has Fairfield, Iowa, and Jefferson County, which also tends to be very liberal. And so you've got this mix of people along the river. You've got unions, you've got farmers, you've got university, college educated. We've got both community colleges and then private colleges. So it is a very tough district in which to navigate. But to me, the way that you counteract, someone who's running a TV campaign is to go out and meet people. When people meet you face to face, they shake your hand, they look you in the eye, they ask you a question. And it's hard to dodge those questions when people are looking you in the eye. And I just find that it's better just to be candid, to be who I am, be authentic, because people can tell. If you're not sincere, people know right away. Iowans know. And then that gives them pause. And so I think for us to be able to navigate the district, be as many places as we can, meet people face to face is critical to winning this district. And then part of that is, raising the money. Our district is the most inefficient media market. So it's a tough district because just to reach 60% of our voters, you have to be in 3 different media markets, and that's the 3 most expensive in Iowa. So we're not like New York or Chicago or San Francisco, but we're inefficient. And so that creates some issues for us being able to reach all of our voters that we want to reach, including the independents. But we've been able to do that. We've been able to be successful. And as I said, I have both a great campaign team and both a great congressional team. So, when I'm in district visiting, I'm doing my congressional work, I'm doing my campaign work, and I feel very good about what is happening. We already discussed what's concerning to people. You know it as well as I do. You feel it when you're in Iowa, and I think it's the same throughout the country. But it's not enough for people to be fed up.
Yeah.
People want to know what you're going to do and how you're going to help them. And I'll just give you a little tidbit. Last night when we were at our rally, and I had mentioned seeing television when we were passing through on the bus, and I said I saw video of President Biden showing that he was getting vaccinated, getting his booster, and I'm going. It just shows you how tone deaf he is. What do we want as people? We want to know that our president is looking out for our best interests, that he has a plan to reduce costs, a plan to lower gas prices other than draining the SPR, that he has a plan, to get food prices down. He has a plan, something he's going to do to help with crime, something, what's he going to do on the border? What are we going to do about these 87,000 IRS agents? And is it fair for someone like me, like you, like millions of other people across our country that have, paid off their school loans or didn't go to college or saved money and did without so they could pay for their kids' college, or someone who's in college paying their way? Is it okay for them to just you have an executive order and forgive student loans? So these are the kinds of things people want to know the answers to these questions. They don't want to see their president out and getting vaccinated. It's fine that he does it, but this isn't the beginning of the pandemic. Right now, we have severe problems, severe crises that are self-made through the Biden administration. And we haven't even touched on national security, which I know is an issue near and dear to your heart.
Yeah, and it's hard not to believe, as you look at it, that many of these outcomes, whether it's an insecure border, whether it's a expensive gasoline, kind of some of these challenges that we're facing are totally intentional, or at least completely predictable based on their policies that Joe Biden has implemented. And, I've heard two great things along those lines in recently, and I don't think I came up with either one of them. But it just on the student loan forgiveness, it's shocking to me that we are asking plumbers who never went to college or couldn't go to college, or you know how hard you worked to become a doctor. We're asking those plumbers and those people that didn't take out student loans to pay off for lawyers and political science majors and everyone else. I just think that's an astonishing, and it's a completely a callous play to buy votes. And again, I don't think they have any intention or belief that it's going to actually work. And that's what makes it even more callous. I'm shocked that's their kind of current political go to market, is that's one of their main things. They are, they're trying to divide us. I mean, I look at our country and I read so much, and because I don't have to campaign every day and do the kind of the things that you do. I get to join my friends sometimes on the campaign trail and get just a taste of it enough. But I know that I can, sort of not have to live, breathe, and eat, and mostly, call everybody I possibly know or can think of. But that being said, I admire those, including you, who first of all raise your hand and look for a way to serve. But secondly, have so much real world experience. You didn't come at this as someone that was kind of a career politician. You actually came at it as very much a citizen that thought there were some challenges, and you raised your hand and you said, I want to be a part of the solution. And so I admire your career, and not only are you a friend, but I'm a big fan of yours. And any time I can help, sort of help you, at least double your victory margin, I certainly will. In the few minutes we have left, obviously you're out there on the campaign trail. Anybody that wants to come out, say hello, shake your hand, talk about what challenges or issues they would love help with. You're probably the most accessible member of Congress, at least that I know personally. Tell me about your campaign website. How can people get involved? How can they donate and otherwise, participate in your reelection?
Well, thank you so much for that. And certainly they can go to WinRed, and then they can, search for my name, and we'll come up in the WinRed site. They can also
Marionette
go
Miller
to Dr.
Meeks. It's on the sign behind
Yes.
you, but I just want to make sure everyone, and it'll be on at the bottom of our broadcast. But I just, Marionette Miller Meeks, member of Congress from
And then,
Iowa's 2nd district, correct? 2nd? Should
Yes,
know that.
and it'll be running for re-election in the 1st congressional district. So,
Okay.
But then Dr. Dr. Miller Meeks with no punctuation, drmillermeeks.com is the website. They can go there also. There's not a lot of Miller Meeks, so if you Google my name, I'm going to pop up. But, I will tell you, just like when I raised my right hand and swore in when I became enlisted and then ended up spending 24 years in the military, this is just another service to our country. I'm not ashamed to say that, I am proud of our country. I'm proud of our state. From our, combines to our colleges, from our fields to our factories in Iowa. We are proud to be Iowans. We are proud of our nation. We know we live in the greatest nation on this earth. And quite honestly, Matt, it's humbling and it's an honor to serve this country. And there is no sacrifice too great to make sure that everyone has the opportunities that we have had. So whatever it takes to get that done, we're going to do that to preserve this great nation.
Well, that's a highlight of this show. And I've had, like I said, this is episode 38, and how I couldn't have said it better myself. Marionette, thank you so much for your time. Look forward to seeing you on the campaign trail. Unfortunately, my schedule is calling me to go help my friend Adam Laxalt in Nevada for the first week in November. I got to get out and see him, but I will be back in Iowa to conclude it. I might go door knocking with Bill Gustoff or Jack Whitver, or maybe if we have time, we'll come out to southeastern Iowa.
Great.
All right.
We're watching Adam's race very closely, so we're keeping our fingers crossed.
Yeah, he was great last night on Hannity, and he's a good guy and a good friend, and he'll be a great senator from Nevada. So, Marionette, thank you for being on Liberty and Justice.